Welcome back to Dark Souls 2 Part 2. Gonna light the torch and make our way into the Forest of Fallen Giants. Oh, they've lit that sconce up. I'm sure that was unlit the first time I came through here in PlayStation. Anyway, if you come round here, there's an iron chest with rusted coin on it. And the reason that there's iron chests and wooden chests is because From Software didn't want you to miss important items. And I guess they just thought it was only fair to give you, if you'd missed the rusted coins back in things betwixt, that you would pick them up here. And I have to say, the lighting effects, thanks to Durante. Durante's released a piece of software. He's the guy that was responsible for DS Fix and Dark Souls 1. Pick up Human Effigy here, and honestly it's transformed. I'm downsampling from 1440p to 1080p, and got a couple of other effects added in, and it just looks absolutely stunning. Not in this part here actually, because I recorded this yesterday, but it still looks good. This is just vanilla Dark Souls 2. Anyway, Homeward Bone, soul item, and you're better to come down here to pick those items up rather than trying to make the jump from above. Seen lots of people die that way. So this is like the very first area in the Forest of Fallen Giants, and I just put on the Travelling Merchant hat to increase our item discovery rate, just to get some drops at the start of the game. These guys are hollow infantry, just like the hollows at the beginning of Undead Burg. Nothing special about them, and easy to kind of, avoid evade their attacks, and they don't have much health. There's actually they're very generous in terms of the number of bonfires that they make available to you, and there's actually a bonfire to our right over there, and all the bonfires have names in this game, which is interesting, and I'm sure that there's meaning behind some of those names as well, as we'll see soon. There's 7 enemies I think around here, and the biggest pain in the butt is the archer and the hatchet wielding hollow. Throwing knives are actually really useful in this game. I'm going to put them on my bar just to make them available, and if you're crossing this river, jump. It's much quicker than trying to wade through it. One thing you'll end up with a massive amount of is life gems. You pick them up, they're very plentiful as you progress through the game. So these hollow infantry guys, they I believe they were under orders by King Vendrick, and this isn't spoilers, this is just, you'll learn this as you read item descriptions and listen to NPCs. So hollows that were under orders to repel the attack by the giants who crossed the sea, but we'll find all that out soon. Missing terribly there. Taking advantage to the max of the dagger's critical hit ability. These guys are plated, so you'll see quite a lot of enemies throughout the game that pretend to be dead, and then when you cross a threshold or pick up an item, it didn't get the parry timing corrected at all, and I find parrying much more difficult in Dark Souls 2, and I think most people have made the same comments, most players. I was very lucky that wasn't our first death there, that was a bit careless of me, and just jumping and diving around, flailing around just to keep myself from getting hit. There was something, I knew I was saying something a second ago and I can't even remember what it was now. Oh well. My memory's like a sieve at times. There's a reason for it, and there's a reason why I get stuck in my words as well. But anyway, let's talk about Dark Souls. When you're going up this ladder, don't don't use your stamina up, because sometimes you can come up here and there'll be like enemies right in front of you, and if you use your stamina up, then it makes it harder to evade them. So just go up there the normal way. And then moderate difficulty this wee bit here, because you've got the archer above. The archer is basically what adds the challenge to this area, because these three guys aren't particularly difficult, even without a shield. And Jesus Christ, I was lucky again. And careless again, didn't learn the first time. And that will get us killed sooner rather than later. So you can see that there's a big guy over there. He's a knight of Hyde. And I don't know what the lore is behind these guys. I think their armour set's fascinating. The pale alabaster armour, the bucket helmet, even the stance, his lackadaisical stance is very interesting. Or his sitting posture. Stance wasn't the right word, I guess. It's as if he's pondering something or trying to remember something, maybe. We'll deal with him later. There's an item over there which is above the bonfire. We're going to go for that straight away, because we're going to need the item that's over here to take out the Hyde Knight, and it's the throwing knives. We're going to make full use of them. So just make your way, once you've collected that item, just make your way back up. And what to do before you take the Hyde Knight on, come up here, so you just come back out the way you just came, which to make the jump for the item. You'll see the ladders to your left. And if you go down here, go to your right, over here, yep, and there's an item up here. I think it's just a soul item. Yeah, soul item. And I'm not doing very well to avoid these arrows that have been flying in. Taking a couple of hits from these guys. Did well there. And I actually really love the dagger now. Definitely going to be upgrading it during this playthrough. Probably infuse it with something like poison, actually. So come over here and get the short sword. Not a bad weapon, nothing special, I guess. I like the longsword. I like longswords in this game. Anyway, I could go up and backstab this guy, or try to backstab him, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to, because I've done that in another playthrough, so. And like I say, my strategy for taking this guy out is, see when he stops like that, by the way, that's dangerous, because he's going to do like a charging attack. So I think you can deduce what my strategy is. It's basically to use separation or distance between me and the Hyde Knight, and then throw things at him to kill him. Because if I try and hit him with that dagger, you'll see what will happen. He's got very fast turnaround times with his attacks, and I just think it would be too dangerous for me with the small range of the dagger to basically take him on with it. So we get the Hyde Knight sword and another play dead in front of the fog gate, and the Hyde Knight sword is good because it's got a lightning attack. Some people don't like the fact that weapons have split damage properties, because you've got to go through two sets of armour or defences. Your enemies could have high elemental resistance against lightning. I don't know, I like the variation. I don't like just using normal weapons all the time. You could go up there, go in there and take these guys out, but I recommend doing it this way. I think it's easier. Watch out for the hatchet guy, or axe guy, whatever you want to call it. And once you progress down this corridor, these two guys try to ambush you that are in the room. And we'll use a witching urn. And witching urn, obviously, I guess you worked out, uses magic damage to inflict damage against enemies. Come in here, pick up the arrows, the bolts, sorry. Yeah, we'll pick up more witching urns. Urns are quite useful in this game, definitely. And this guy's a hollow soldier, so he has slightly more health than the hollow infantry. He hits a bit harder, has a bit more defense, etc, etc. He has a chance to drop bombs, arrows and some other stuff that the soldiers don't. The hollow infantry don't, sorry. So I just used nearly down to my last throwing knife, but it's worth it to take that guy out, especially when you've got the bomber above. And I think it's worth bringing these enemies down into here so that you're not having to dodge the bombs up here, because if you take the guys on up here, you've still got the infantry, the hollow soldier throwing bombs at you, and it can be quite annoying. This area here really reminds me of Demon Souls. What's the name of the castle or the fortification? I can't remember. So just watch out for this guy. He's well hidden, obviously. Try to spring a surprise on you when you pick that soul item up, like he did to me in the first game, the first time I went through this area. And it's a buckler, so a shield that's a small shield with less than 100% physical block. I think it has a decent parry window, not sure, don't use it. We'll go down there soon. We'll go and open the door first. I've seen some players, I've been watching other people's playthroughs, and there's a chap called Biznat, I don't know if you've seen his playthrough. I love his nervousness. He always contrives to miss doors, miss treasures. But yeah, I enjoy watching his playthroughs. So we meet the first halberd wielding hollow soldier. And halberds in this game are actually quite powerful class of weapons. This is Melentia, a vendor, and we've got an interesting statue here. Reminds me of the one that was behind Framt in Dark Souls 1. So Cardinal Tower, that's an interesting name for this bonfire, and it doesn't mean cardinal as in, you know, the Catholic.
Buy something, anything. Oh, come now, help an old woman and buy something.
I love the fact that Melentia carries all her wares around in her back. She sells her starting class's armour set. Sells some rudimentary weapons. There you go, that's our travelling merchant stuff. She sells some human effigies, 5. Most importantly, she sells Lenegrass key, so the key to the blacksmith's workshop. I don't know how she managed to get her paws on it. I assume that she pickpocketed it, or she found it, or something. She also sells Pharaoh's Lockstones. If you make sure you exhaust the dialogue with her, because if you Melentia, yep. If you exhaust the dialogue with her, she'll go back to Majula eventually and become a vendor there. And she also explains to you about the conflict between King Vendrick's soldiers and the giants who crossed the sea. So this door might look, it states it's locked, but obviously you can see that there's something wrong with it, so you can actually break your way through it. And that doesn't apply to all doors in this game, but we get the hand axe, and I'm going to change to that just for a small change. And don't forget to open this treasure chest. Again, just to remind you that you can destroy them with 3 hits. Repair powder has its use in this game, because obviously you know that weapons deteriorate as you use them in the environment. and if you hit against things like walls and whatnot, you're actually deteriorating the blade more, and they get reset when you rest at a bonfire. So I guess you knew that was a playdead. And we picked up an important item there. We picked up an Estus Flask shard, and that will increase the amount of Estus Flasks that we get to imbibe from. So I think we've got 2 Estus Flasks, so we give that that shard to the Emerald Herald, and we'll get another access to another Estus Flask. So Cardinal Tower, that's what I was going to say. It's not as in like the, you know, the one that the Pope appoints, not the religious leader. I believe it just means, you know, what does Cardinal mean? It means first, predominant, main, I guess. So like main tower, because it's something we'll talk about later. Anyway, I kind of mess up here. And yeah, I'm not getting used to the swings of the hand axe, and I'm kind of overestimating its reach, and you can see I missed a few times. So just come down here and jump over. And what are your thoughts on the jump mechanics? I like the jump mechanic in Dark Souls 2. Doesn't bother me at all. It makes it feel different, makes it feel fresh. And this is a good wee area to make your way to at the start of the game. There's quite a powerful weapon down here, so it's definitely worth coming down here. Also gets you a chance to farm these guys to pick up some souls, and we're going to be focusing on melee, obviously, like I did with Dark Souls 1. I don't mind doing sorceries, but yeah, I prefer if I'm doing a playthrough for YouTube to make it melee, or melee, and so we'll be putting most of our points into strength and dexterity. Probably getting dexterity up quicker than strength, just because in this game you can two-hand weapons, and your current strength value can be doubled by two-handed weapons, whereas in Dark Souls it was only it wasn't doubled, it was only like 1.5 times. So yeah, we'll be getting our dex up to about 14, so we can use certain weapons and certain long range weapons. And I like both bows and crossbows in Dark Souls 2. I just don't like how much stamina they use with each draw. It just seems excessive. The reason I was looking up there is there's two hollows up there, and as soon, I'm sure when I played the PlayStation version, coming in here triggered their attack or their ambush, but in this version it doesn't. You can also avoid the ambush altogether by going back up the tree stump and jumping over to where they are, but it's not worth it. And don't worry about the flames. I know I certainly stood there for about 10 minutes wondering whether I should or shouldn't. Eventually just throwing caution to the wind and going for it, and being thankful that I didn't die. And I make a meal of this. It's just me being crap with the hand axe. Make it much more difficult than it really is. See, sometimes when I'm swinging at nothing, it's not that I'm swinging at nothing like there, it's me trying to do the jump like that, the jump attack. And I find this, I don't know if you guys find the same, have the same difficulty in trying to initiate the jump attack. But it was the same in the PlayStation 3 version. I just found it extremely difficult to do it most of the time. The majority of the time I wouldn't be able to pull it off. That didn't sound right. But yeah, be interested to know if you guys encounter the same problem. I take it as just a game mechanic problem and not something to do with my control pads, because that's been over 2 control pads. Anyway, we're going to go down this tunnel of flame. And you'll encounter a new enemy down here. You won't be taking him on because he's seriously powerful at this point. That's a flame salamander, and these guys have like 3,500 health points, and they're totally deadly if you get close to them. There's a weapon in here. I thought I'd avoided that, but obviously not, and I took a wee bit of damage there, but it doesn't matter because I'm not dead. And we pick up here the flame longsword, and this is a really fire longsword. Sorry, this is a really good starting weapon. Pretty powerful compared to what we've used so far. Even accounting for the dagger's massive critical damage. I love the longsword's moveset, especially the R2 attack. Make sure you come round here because there's an item up here. It's easy to miss. Life gems, and yeah, this area here, this wee bit here especially, really reminds me of Demon Souls. There's an item across, some of you might have spotted it, there's an item across the ways to the right. I believe that it's not possible. I tried jumping to it a few times, but you just die basically. Which was really annoying because it was a waste of a human effigy. Anyway, so we're going to go down this way now, and this is where the level really starts to get better. There's the flame salamanders. You're not supposed to go down there just now. You're really supposed to come back here later on and take these guys on, the salamanders that is. And I don't know what they're doing here, and there's something really odd about the fact that they're here. They seem so different to all the other enemies in the Forest of Fallen Giants. It makes me wonder whether they're similar to the ogres in the sense that maybe they're out of time or out of place. Again, I'm fighting absolutely terribly here. I forgot that the door was closed behind me, and I guess I got lucky there. And the game takes pity on us by giving us a radiant life gem. But yeah, the salamander, something different about these guys. And we'll be able to open this door, another door, soon. So we meet our first fog gating area of the Forest of the Fallen Giants, and this isn't a boss fight. So when you come out here, you'll notice that there's a number of enemies. I would recommend going back into the room you've just come out of, because coming out the fog gate aggroes a number of enemies, and they'll make their way towards you. And that specific area we're going to deal with later. We're just going to go up the tree trunk and make our way somewhere else, because I want to have a ranged weapon before I take on the enemies in that area. It can be really annoying without a ranged weapon. So it's good that we're getting some decent drops off these guys. If you didn't start as the adventurer, explorer, whatever he's called, don't fall to the left there, by the way. Fall to the right if you're going into that wee room, because if you fall to the left you can clip through the area and die basically. Really annoying. Happened to me a couple of times before. So you see these barrels here? These barrels are full of gunpowder, and what you want to do is you want to try and bait him into throwing a firebomb at them. If you can get it to work that way, you want to watch, because I've never been able to get that to work. That's why I forgot to recommend, actually, my apologies, I forgot to recommend buying from Melentia 2 firebombs. You might have noticed me doing that, And the reason I did that was in order to destroy those gunpowder barrels. And the reason why is because they destroy the wall and give you a shortcut between the bonfire and this area here. I wouldn't recommend going up there just now. It's up to you. If you go up there, you're going to trigger a boss fight out of the boss area, and that's one of the unusual things about Dark Souls 2. I have no idea why that happens. It happened to me when I was fighting the Hyde Knight as well. I know that in Dark Souls 2 you can aim one way and press a different direction on your left thumbstick, and it can cause the attack to kind of deflect off to the left or right or whatever way you're pointing the stick. But I'm pretty sure there I was just pressing the button as normal. Anyway, we opened the shortcut, and I just came back to Majula to open the Lenigrast workshop up, because at this point I guess I wanted the short bow, which is behind here.
Ah yes, very good. Now I can get to work. But first, let me set up.
So you have to go away again and come back.
You, stand back. This is dangerous work. The name's Lenigrast, and you are... another useless traveller. A man ought to labour with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Your equipment. Let me have a look.
He's got some dogmatic views, does old Lenigrast. He sells some decent starting weapons. The mace in particular is quite good. He sells an infinite amount of light arrows, wood arrows, and I'm going to buy some of them. He sells only a limited amount of iron arrows and whatnot, or the heavier ones. Same with the bolts. Yeah, hammer class weapons in this game are pretty good, and the mace is quite powerful, especially earlier on in the game. And obviously he's the first blacksmith that can upgrade all your weapons and armour. He can also repair certain rings. So make your way back to Majula at this point. To Cardinal Tower in the Forest of Fallen Giants, and we're going to make our way left. And be careful if you're using fire weapons, because even just any sword actually can hit off the wall, and if the sparks hit the barrels it can cause them to blow up, so just be wary of that. That wasn't very clever to dive horizontally there, but never mind. There's a green blossom behind me, but we'll pick that up in a minute. You've got a choice of 3 paths here: right, left, straight on. We're going to do... I think we're not going to do that. That's an NPC called Pate. We're going to talk to him later. We're going to trigger the guys in here, come in and then out again, because the ballista fire, and the 3 guys that were operating those ballistas are going to make a beeline for you. So that was really bad timing. I tried to do a jump attack and I deservedly got killed. That was absolutely my fault. And yeah, what can you say? Just stupidity, trying to heal with Estus like that. So pick out the green blossom, and even though you've already triggered that event, it will trigger every time you come down here as long as these hollow soldiers are alive. So just be careful of that. And actually this is a better strategy here, to just basically attack as quickly as possible, because they're only dangerous in numbers, they're not dangerous on their own. Even 2 of them isn't really that dangerous. and that's the move I like, the R2 move that basically thrusts the sword forward like that. Pick up some sorceries here, and we pick up a shield. I like this wee blue wooden shield, so we're going to use that. This guy you can cheese, approach him gingerly because he can be quite dangerous. But as you can see, the hollow soldiers have just done us a favour. And these guys are old ironclads. They're golems, so they're without soul or consciousness. They're basically just like empty husks that attack. I believe they were created by King Vendrick. Pick up the winged spear. Decent weapon. No, actually, is it? I don't know. And if you look up, you'll see the tree looks like it might, I don't know, it's got like a, you know, it takes on a form that doesn't look like a tree. It's got feet, if you look at the back of it. So maybe the last giants became trees, or they became integrated with the trees. Anyway, come up here. And that part to the left there, if you've already triggered Pate's kind of side quest, and you've came back out of that area, you can get back in by going up these ladders and then going left. Anyway, pick up the light crossbow, and crossbows are really powerful in this game, especially if you're a strength build. They scale with strength. No, they don't, sorry, they don't scale with strength. I'm talking absolute rubbish. Or at least that one doesn't. The good thing about bows in this is that you can two-hand them, even if you don't meet the strength requirements. That's it, sorry, when I'm thinking of strength, I'm thinking of the fact that you can two-hand them even if you don't meet the strength requirements, as long as, you know, whatever strength level you've got doubles and reaches the requirement. So take these guys out, and then make your way inside the building. And you'll see that there's an item up on the ledge there. That's just a soul item and a torch. The reason I think I don't make it is because I've got too much gear on. I think I would have probably made it if I had less gear. Because I think the distance you jump increases with less gear on. This guy's using a mail breaker or some kind of rapier, so just be careful. And we pick up a mail breaker here actually. An infantry helm. And just fall out here, you'll be okay. And oh yeah, I went back up to try and get that item and didn't make it.
There. Traveling all alone in these treacherous times. Well, I hope you have a very good reason.
So that's Pate. So I've skipped quite a lot of his dialogue. But he tells you about this side quest here. He says that somebody he was treasure hunting with went in here. He doesn't feel brave enough to come in here to find the treasure, but he advises, well, he basically entices you into going in on your own to get it, and don't be too trusting of Pate. Be wary of his stories. It reminds me of like a Roman soldier or centurion or something with his spear and his helmet. Yeah, he looks kind of Roman, I think. Anyway, there's an ambush waiting for you in here, so if you've got things like fire bombs or witching urns or even throwing knives, it could be useful to use them in here. And that shield bash does a lot of stamina damage, and I use a throwing knife here just to take him out quickly. And I'm going to talk about just for a second while we're got a wee kind of impasse, or on impasse as she would say, about the fact that Shalquar said something interesting in the previous episode that I didn't mention. She said that we smelled nice, and I think when, you know, I think FromSoft put a lot of pay a lot of attention to the dialogue that they write for their voice actors, and I think most of it has meaning. Not everything has meaning, obviously, but that's such an odd and specific thing to say, that I wonder if it maybe has a certain deeper meaning. And the thing is, she's maybe used to undead hollows coming in, or being in vicinity of the pigs, the enslaved pigs. And I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that we had just had our humanity restored by the human effigy, not long before that, and then we've gone and spoken to her. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. Anyway, there's a hidden wall here. In this game you have to press you have to press the action button basically. With most walls, there are some walls that you can still hit and they'll, you know, the illusion will disappear. Anyway, we picked up the amber herbs, and they and the sorcerer's staff, and the herbs are actually really good because they restore a number of spell uses. Another thing I didn't mention in the previous episode, if you go back and listen to in the tutorial area and things betwixt.
Well, I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. Oh, but you should take this. It allows undead to call out for help to one another across the fissures between. With luck, somebody will lend you a hand.
So we get a multiplayer item there, so you can leave your soapstone sign down and get summoned to other people's games. But yeah, I was saying in the things betwixt, there's booming sounds in the background, maybe thunder, distant thunder. But that sound is also present in Dark Souls 1 and the Painted World of Ariamis. It might have nothing to do, it might be no connection between the two, it might just be a reused asset. But I just found that really kind of interesting. These two guys are a pain in the bum. Kind of a waste of a thrown knife there. I prefer to use thrown knives to finish enemies, but rather than to lure them. But never mind, we got them in the end. And there's another play dead here, so just be careful. So more amber herbs, and this is really interesting. The statue, the sword part of it's basically fallen into the building. It's not really interesting. Don't know why I said that, but it's a nice wee atmosphere here. Yeah, you want to draw this guy down here. So pull him down here, because if you don't and you go up to attack him, it's an ambush. A guy drops down behind you. Yeah, you can see how much stamina damage that shield bash does. And I like the shield bash that I can perform. It just, without high levels of adaptability, it can take so long to perform it. Actually, I don't know if adaptability influences the speed that you do it at, you perform that action at. But yeah, it takes a long time to do the shield bash. But when it works very well. There you go. Don't know why I was trying it there. And I apologise for the number of backstabs I've made use of to kill enemies. It gets a bit boring doing that after a while. I'm going to try some parries probably in the next episode. Anyway, come up the sword, and we'll pick up the halberd, and a soul item. And I never noticed in the PlayStation version that that was a shield next to the big statue of the guy. It's like a tower shield. And if you look at the other side, we've got another statue. And the tower, there's a shield again, and obviously his head's missing this time. So we'll make our way through the fog gate. And there's a crystal lizard to our right here. And like I said in my Dark Souls 1 videos, the crystal lizards in this game are a real pain in the arse to get sometimes. They're quick, and they seem to just... They seem more flighty in this game, they seem more twitchy. They kind of know you're coming for them. So we'll go and pick the leather shield up. Big white leather shield. In the next episode, we're nearly drawn to a close in this one, so in the next episode, more action, more interesting. We will be taking on a couple of bosses, definitely, and then we'll be making our way to the next area. And the game really does, you know, it really does get better as it goes on. This is still a good area, but... Oh yeah, I kinda get my ass handed to me again by this guy. I don't like really playing defensively very often. I apologise for all the pregnant pauses and gaps and me talking in this episode, but there's not a lot for me to say to add to what I've already said in terms of the descriptions of these enemies and whatnot. Anyway, I hope this episode's been helpful, and if you're playing in the PC, I'd recommend getting Durante's file that improves the graphics. See you in the next episode.